So what we have here is two branching guide sets. So now we'll connect the switch into the comb node. The guides are duplicates of the original curves. So what I want to do is deform the curves so that we can see them in action and confirm that the setup is working. So what I'm going to do is select the base FK curves and create a deformer. Let me do the same for the dynamic sets. Now back to the switch. We should see a shift or something happen with the hair. And this tells us that it is going between the curves. So what we're going to do now is complete this setup for the rest of the branches. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have several switch nodes. We don't want to have to switch manually one by one every time we want to go between the guide sets. So what we want to be able to do is connect some kind of control attribute to the switch nodes. So what I'm going to do is create a locator just so that we have something to add an attribute to. Add an attribute and we'll call it guide set switch. So how can we connect a Maya attribute into the Yeti graph? Well, the way that we're going to do this is make a custom global variable in the Yeti node. So if we go into the graph and user variables, create a variable and call it guide set switch. So right now, this variable is now part of the Yeti node and by proxy, the Yeti graph. So the way that we introduce this variable into the graph, all we need to do is add the name of the variable into the attributes value. So we have guide set switch. And now what this will do is allow us to switch the value of the switch output without having to go into the Yeti graph editor. So it's working. So now we have to do that for the rest of the switch nodes. So it seems like it is successful. There are many ways of connecting attributes together. So what we're going to use in this case is an expression. And what we want to do is select the Yeti node equals locator1 guide set switch, create. So now we should be able to change the value here. And now we don't have to go into the attribute editor or into the Yeti graph editor. So what we want to do now is prepare the file for publishing. So once the Groom has been approved and we've completed the setup for connecting hair to deformable guides, we're ready to package it up for publish. So the available tools for publishing provided by the Yeti plugin is the ability to export a Yeti node as a .grm file or Groom. What this file brings along with it is the entire Yeti network. The one thing that I wanted to do before I started the publish process is to create the connection with the correct object. Okay, so now we have it connected to the guide set switch control. Let's double check the Yeti node and has all the switch nodes, switch naming, so everything looks good. So let's export the Yeti nodes as Groom files. Yeti menu, export Groom from selected Yeti node. And then name it Kurt Mullet. And let's give it a version number and save. Took no time at all. So if we go into the folder, we see that there is a .grm file created. pretty small in size. So the idea of exporting it as a versioned number is so that we safeguard for potential changes or updates that may need to be done to the Groom. So that takes care of the publishing process. Next is how to reintroduce the hair using the Groom files that we exported.